You're listening to the Bleach Brothers podcast, hosted by B-Word and Jake.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and it just so happens to be Christmas week, my man. Jake, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm sad Krampus Day's over.
Right?
I wish Krampus would come back.
Well, we kind of missed that for a couple weeks now, but that's okay.
I'm more about Krampus, dude. Take the children when they're bad. Naughty list. Get them. Smack them. Throw them in a sack. Run them away.
See, you should have done that more in like a playground, like hopscotch tune, like a patty cake. Like patty cake baker's man, like Krampus, take the kids. They're all naughty. They shouldn't terrible. Die of SIDS, never, like that sort of stuff.
Never do limericks again. We tried that one time. That was the other Christmas episode where I just shit all over it.
I know. But that one was the night before Christmas and all through the house,
Yeah, you're right.
So going into keeping with the Christmas theme, because that's what this episode's going to be about. What are you doing for Christmas? You've got family in town this week, right?
Yeah, I'm cooking dinner. My whole family's coming up here. It's my first year in the new house. Just present, celebrating. We already did our tradition of cutting down the tree, decorating, so it's supposed to I'm hoping it's supposed to snow. It's been a bad year up here for it. We don't even have snow on the mountains yet, which is weird because they can't open any of like the snowboarding or skiing or any of that.
Yeah.
Which is odd. They don't have enough snow, which is, like I said, it's also been cold. It's super cold here. We're just not getting any moisture in the air to make snow happen. But what are you doing?
I just got back from Mexico. And so this particular weekend, dude, I am going to catch some, I'm going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home because I'm late to the party on that. So, go see that. Just kind of catch up. I got my kid in town. She's going to be here for the next few weeks. She's on winter break with college, so she's over here working and doing her thing before she drives back down to Vegas. So that's kind of it, man. But it's it's the one thing that I'll tell you. I mean, I was pretty happy to be able to go to Mexico and going with all of my family was really cool. I got to be honest, man. Like, if you have a chance to celebrate the holidays and you don't want to do it like at your house, definitely go to a resort somewhere. Just take everybody on a fucking trip and let everybody do their own thing. Like, you all can have dinner on specific nights, but just let everybody do their own thing. It's amazing.
I think I'm too much of a traditionalist. I don't want a destination holiday, just like I would never want a destination wedding. I also hate beaches, but I am the hater. I'd rather be somewhere super cold with glaciers. So we are of the difference of opinion there, B-Word, but what is new?
Well, that's true. Well, with that, man, let's take a break and make some money.
Sounds good.
Your dog is cute, your kids are adorable, and your cat really does look good in that tutu. But there's only so many times you can talk about how cool velociraptors are, or how much you want to rub that fuzzy belly. How about a podcast with extraordinary people and scintillating conversation? It's The Derek Duval Show. Find it at DerekDuvalShow.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. And no, I will not be attending your cat's quinceañera.
Thanks to the Derek Duval Show for having a little ad spot on our episode here. Jake, so I want to talk about reindeer real quick, right? So
like
in our last episode,
good?
I've never eaten a reindeer. Have you?
Oh, it's so good.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. I like.
Does it taste like? I mean, does it have the venison taste?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I always equate it to being a little more irony, like not like, but you know what I mean. There's more iron like taste to it, like metal taste, like because it's a leaner meat. Like if you eat grass-fed beef versus corn-fed beef, and no matter what they tell you, all cows that eat grass typically are fed the last 30 to 60 days or 90 days of corn to make them taste better. So if you have a pure grass-fed beef, it has that more, it's not gamey, it's an iron like taste. And so I feel it has that and a little bit of gaminess in it. It's super lean. So I cook it with a lot of butter to give it more flavor. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Really? See, I would have never thought to try reindeer. Where did you try reindeer? Number one,
Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I got
Okay.
family up there. So my uncle
Yeah.
was a taxidermist up there. I've done some hunting trips up there. That was the first time I tried moose. I tried warthog. He brought some back from Africa when he went hunting over there, which was amazing.
You ate a Pumbaa?
Yeah, I ate a Pumbaa. It was almost like eating natural honey glazed ham. It was delicious.
When I was a young warthog. I love
Yeah.
that part of the
I
line.
will I will eat any animal, almost any animal once. There's two on my bucket list that I choose not to. One is I've always wanted to eat shark fin soup, but knowing how it comes, I don't like to do that.
How does it come?
Cut they cut the fins off and throw it back in the ocean. I knew you were going there.
I'm really happy you answered that appropriately.
Yeah. Turtle soup's another one I've always wanted to do. Now, if I get like a snapping turtle from the south, of course I'd have it. But if it was any other, I wouldn't, because I feel like the way they serve it is usually it's not like the most, and I hate the word, but sustainable way to get the meat. The only other meat I don't really like, but I've eaten a lot and I just don't like to get it, is veal.
You don't like veal?
Oh, I like the taste of it. I just don't like the practice behind it. And I never thought I'd be that way, especially because I hunt and I eat a lot of animals, but I don't believe just hanging an animal for 30 days and not letting it really move to get tender meat is fair. I know they do it a little better. Like it's like foie gras. I love foie gras, but they don't shove funnels down ducks' mouths anymore and overfeed them. However, you know what I mean? There's those tiny practices behind it that actually matter to me now. And it's funny, when I was a chef coming in, I never thought those ways, but reindeer is delicious. I will say that if you have a chance to try it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never eaten a reindeer. However, Jake, if you were a reindeer, which reindeer would you be and why?
Blitzen.
Okay, why?
I love the name. It's purely the name. It reminds me of one of my favorite like arcade games, Blitz. Remember Blitz 99?
Oh, yeah, NFL Blitz.
Yep, love that game. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not a Rudolph guy. Everybody's a Rudolph fan, right? All the other names really don't mean much to me. So I'm going to go with Blitzen, and that's purely the reason why. Like, I thought maybe Prancer, because I actually like that movie. And what's the one on the Santa Claus that like burps and farts a lot?
Oh,
The Dasher?
Dasher. Yeah.
So I actually talked to my 3-year-old, or Adeline, my 4-year-old, about this, and that's her pick because he farts and burps, and she thought that was hilarious. Then her first pick was Rudolph, of course, but no, but Blitzen's for me. What about you?
So I in preparing for this question, I actually did some deep study of the Googles to try to determine what personalities the different reindeers have, and I came up with Donner. So the characteristics that the Goog told me is that Donner loves to take charge, and as you know, we're recording. I love to just get everything done myself, and just make sure to have some ownership and some control when it comes to certain things. And that's kind of the same thing when it comes into my work life and even my home life. I just kind of like to be in control of things. So Donner loves to take charge. One of the things that's on here is that Donner's very creative. I don't find myself as a very creative person. However, it was brought to my attention that some of the art that we put out for the different episodes and whatever is pretty good, and so I do that. So that's creative. So I figured, okay, I can put that feather in my cap, if you will. But these next two are pretty interesting for me, and of course because you picked Blitzen. So the characteristic says very close to a couple of reindeer friends like Blitzen. Now, while we're very close, I think we're almost very close in personality. That it was just kind of funny that you came up with Blitzen. I guess it's just ironic. But the second one is the next one is loves a good debate. Dude, you and I debate shit all the time. And I'll debate anything with anybody. Like that's why I like Aaron's show, the I Had to Say It podcast, is because he just goes on a rant and he tells his side and he accepts anybody else's side who's on there. And so he loves a good debate. I love a good debate. And then the last one's prefers dark chocolate. Bro, it's a milk chocolate or nothing. So that's where Donner was not my cup of tea right there. I just don't like dark chocolate. It's not my jam. But so maybe I'm like 97% Donner, and then go from there.
You're probably not going to like reindeer then. It's like the dark chocolate of meat.
Yeah, I don't like dark chocolate, dude.
Dark chocolate's
However,
delicious.
I do like dark chocolate if I'm doing wine tasting, like a dessert wine. Like that's okay. Or if it's dark chocolate chip cookies, sometimes those are good.
Have you ever done the dark chocolate like tester though, like the cacao percentage, like to actually truly taste dark chocolate?
I don't think so.
So like when people buy dark chocolate, hence they'll usually go get Hershey's or Dove, right, and just buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But a true test is if you go and get, and not like bakers, but like go and buy it by the percentages,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be amazed because you'll find out what you actually like. Like I like 75%.
Okay,
and that's pretty intense. My mom's a big 60% fan. My wife's a 50% fan. So that also will equate into it something if you didn't know about yourself, especially because it'll change the taste of the wines you're having with it too. So if you can get a chance to have multiple dark chocolates with it, I would highly recommend that as well.
Oh, good call. Good call. So speaking of recipes and the holidays and all of that sort of stuff, separately, we were talking about an after Christmas dish. And Christmas is coming up this weekend, and a lot of people are going to have kind of the traditionals, the ham, the turkey. Some people like to do a brisket. Whatever you're doing, right? I'm sorry, not a brisket, a prime rib. Some people might do brisket. I don't know. But what is your specialty as far as this dish? Can you share it with our audience?
So we typically have ham on Christmas, and I'm Hungarian, and so I grew up. The day after Christmas, we would take out the leftover ham bone because we would always do a bone and ham, and with the meat on it, and you would stew that down, and it's a dish. And I'm gonna totally fuck up this pronunciation, but I think it's suklavos bablavas or something like that. And it's essentially a bean and ham stew that's Hungarian. Now, when I started getting into being a chef, and I actually had to do this recipe for a radio show out here, I learned a few things about it, which was more interesting. So we would always wake up and my mom would be cooking this off, or my grandma, whoever in the family would do this the day after. And so we'd take over the leftover ham and we would do it with lima beans and sauerkraut. Now, the reason we put sauerkraut in it is my dad's side was almost all Hungarian except his mother, who we've talked about on the show, who was the big Redskin fan. She was a German orphan. And so she added sauerkraut to the dish to add a little more oomph than, her own heritage behind it. The one other thing I learned, though, is that stews in Hungary are named after two things: the family that makes them and the type of bean used. And so actually, I looked up these recipes and nobody uses lima beans. So if we really wanted to, we could name this dish after our family because it's a heritage dish. And that was actually pretty interesting. But yeah, we would take sauerkraut, lima beans, cook it down with, carrots and tomatoes, and just make this hearty stew that you would cook all day and enjoy just relaxing the day after Christmas. And that's what you'd finish your day with. And so that's one of my favorite things to do is you've also used the leftovers from the night before in a dish that you had, and then you move it to the next night and still utilize those, but also still have a nice homey hearty dish that's warm because it's cold out and everybody can relax around it. It doesn't take a lot of effort either. You can just relax and have that all day. So that's a dish I'm happy to share. I will be putting up the recipe for it. I like I said, I've done it every year. I've changed a few things on the recipe from the family passed down, but I think that's also another great thing that people need to realize is when you get a recipe from your mom or whoever, you don't always have to stringently stick to it. You can try things out and also make it your own, and that is something I've done. And so there's a few additions I've done to it, but I would highly recommend making this, especially if you make a ham and you have some leftovers. It is a good way to use it.
Okay. And so so definitely need to have the ham. So this can also be a potential, like, for those, because I know in my family, we typically have ham right around Easter.
Mm-hmm.
So that would also be a good time to do this. Like, it's not necessarily Christmas time centric, correct?
No, that's just the typical time we do. And plus, typically people make more stews and soups and stuff during colder times. So that's another reason. And I actually buy dried lima beans. And so it's one of those things, like, since you are cooking it all day, it develops flavors and it also breaks everything down. And that's the other reason.
Okay. So this week going into Christmas, You watching any Christmas movies?
I have my set Christmas movies, which I think that's always a highly debatable point. Like, what is a Christmas movie, right? Like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Everybody tries to argue that every year or whatever. I mean, I have my favorite. I have my top list of ones I always watch, and that list has sort of changed over the years too, due to what my wife watches and my family watches and stuff like that. But no, I have mine. And I try to watch. I try to watch a lot of movies through the Christmas time. Especially because now we don't have cable anymore. The Hallmark Channel's not on 24/7 like my wife used to have, where I'd watch all those bad made-for-TV ones. What about you? Do you watch a lot of Christmas movies?
No, I don't. And the reason why is because I don't have cable. I haven't had cable for years. I stream most everything. So Hallmark did a really good job, still does, I imagine, of putting together a Christmas lineup. I think it's 31 days of Christmas or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix has a good catalog. Hulu tends to have a good catalog. So does Amazon Prime. But to be honest with you, man, I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to Christmas movies. There's the set few that I love. And then I'm surprised by some, like, a couple years ago, oh my gosh, what's his name? Kurt Russell and his girlfriend, Goldie Hawn, his significant other, they came out with that Santa Claus movie on Netflix. Did you watch that?
Oh, the Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah, wasn't that good?
I've never watched it.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. I thought it
I just killed that one for you.
yeah, there went the balloon. No, I actually really enjoyed it, but I had no expectations. So I really enjoy when there's new content out, and I'll watch it, but I don't really just binge the season, if that makes sense. And that brings me to my next question. We've been in the Christmas season now for a little while, holiday season. When is it appropriate to start watching Christmas movies?
The same as my other rules. Day after Thanksgiving, you can start doing it, especially because they start playing them. But I think it also equates to how Christmassy the movie is, right? Like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'll agree with that. Now, it's not the most like in your face, glitter, deck the halls, like all over the place. Like one of my favorite ones to watch, and it makes probably my top 5 list, is Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very Christmassy, but it's not over the top like the Santa Claus Christmas. You know what I mean? So I think that's the other reason people can binge and watch so many of them. There's levels of it.
Right.
So like the first week you'll probably watch these, the second week you'll watch these. That's why Freeform, that network, does like the 31 days of Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think they do that sort of build up too. Mind you, they'll play the popular ones, but that's why I'll actually play them early, because I can build myself up into the Christmas spirit in regards to how Christmassy they are. But if you were going to do a top, I know you just said you're not a big Christmas movie fan.
No, I didn't say I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I just said that I don't binge in the same way that other people do this holiday season. It's the same thing with Halloween. Like, there's a lot of marketing to tell you, hey, you need to watch all of these Halloween films. While I appreciate a lot of Halloween films, I don't just sit there and binge Halloween films. So it's just not something that I just spend a whole lot of time on. There are a few Christmas movies that I truly love, and I'll watch a lot of Christmas movies, but I just want to make, I don't watch like a Christmas movie a night or, several a night. It's just too much, dude. I have so much else to do.
Well, do you also do like you watched it once you're done for the season, or will you watch
Depends
it?
on what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends on what it is. Because there are certain movies that I will watch every single Christmas season. There are certain movies I will watch every single Christmas day. There are other movies that if it's on, like, and it's, within the time frame that, it's the holidays and whatever, like I'll enjoy watching it, but it's not something that I'm just like craving to watch, if that makes sense.
So if you had to, then what are your top 5 Christmas movies? And you can have 2 honorable mentions. That's usually our rule, right?
Yeah.
What would you don't have to list them in particular order, but what would you list on that, I guess?
I have 2 honorable mentions, and one of them I think you and I are going to argue over because it doesn't make my top 5.
Okay.
So let me start with the other one. Batman Returns is an honorable mention movie. It happens during the Christmas season. Christopher Walken's character kind of plays the Santa Claus character, if you will, in Batman. He tries to do a good deed to Oswald Cobblepot, who's played by Danny DeVito. and Danny DeVito ends up getting his 15 minutes of fame and ends up becoming the Penguin. It's all centered around Christmas, so it's not necessarily a Christmas film, but I like it. I actually like Batman Returns better than Batman. And I think the Batman series is one of those that it's, I think that the sequels are better than the original when it comes to Batman 1989, Batman Returns, or Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. And so I like the sequels better. I actually like, the storyline. I thought that the characters are really good in it. But of course, I consider it a Christmas movie because of the time period it's set in. So that's why it's an honorable mention.
Okay.
My second honorable mention is Gremlins.
I knew.
Yeah.
See, as soon as you said it was an argument, I knew that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, I love Gremlins. Gremlins is one of my favorite movies. I just, it's because it's not an quote unquote Christmas movie. I don't think it belongs in the top 5. Again, I'm more of a traditionalist. And there's probably one in my top 5 that you can kind of say, well, Brian, you're being you're being hypocritical, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I like Gremlins. Obviously, it's set in the in the Christmas season. It is a Christmas movie. Let's be clear, it is a Christmas movie. It just doesn't make my top 5. So, what are your 2 honorable mentions? I know you asked me for my top 5, but I want your honorable mentions first.
Mickey's Christmas Carol. I love that version. And see, I think that was going to see, like how you said the Gremlins, I thought that was going to be an argument because I know you're a huge Muppet fan and I would rather watch Mickey's Christmas Carol over the Muppets. So that's an honorable mention. It's not my top 5, but that's an honorable mention. I love watching it. I can every year. I love Scrooge McDuck. I love Goofy. It's just one of those nostalgic. I'll always throw it on. The other one is A Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's.
Okay, yeah.
I don't love the movie like a lot of people do. It's very quotable.
So I love the movie, but I don't love the movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll watch it. I like parts about it. I didn't really pay attention to it till I was older. So it makes my honorable mention because I could throw it on and I'm not disappointed, if that makes sense. But it's not like I'm clamoring to go watch it. But also, it's Christmassier than other Christmas films. Like Die Hard's not on my list. And because in the same vein that you were saying with Gremlins, is to me, I'll agree it's a Christmas movie. I won't argue that point, but to me, it's not Christmas enough. It's just centered around Christmas, which you'll probably think I'm being the same way you were of a hypocrite when I come out with my list, because, it's around Christmas time. There's Christmas things going on, but it's not, Santa and reindeer and all that. But yeah, I'd say Mickey's Christmas Carol and, Christmas Vacation by National Lampoon's is on my 2 honorable mentions.
Now, there are 2 fans of the show that are probably getting ready to turn us off, okay? Because, Die Hard didn't make either of our lists. Not in your top 5, correct?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not in my top 5 either. So, Barb, Angela, if you guys are listening to this, please bear with us because we know that you love Hans Gruber and he needs to show up before the Christmas season starts. But again, this is subjective. These are our opinions. And so with that, let me go through my top 5. This is in no particular order because I just think it's tough. I think it's really tough to rank them. And depending on the year, some of them change. There might be new ones that creep in, whatever. So at this time, 2021, I love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
Claymation. Sorry. Yeah. I love all of those, but I think out of all of those, I love Rudolph the most as far as the claymation. And so I really wanted to be able to add a claymation movie into my top 5. Not that it's not deserving to be there. It absolutely is. But of the ones that we can choose, I felt like Rudolph was the best one. And so I wanted to include that. Any comments on that before I move to the next one?
That's my number 5. I'll just agree with you because I'm in the same vein as you. I grew up with it. I know it was before our time when it came out, but it's one of those classics that always comes out. I could always throw it on. I'm always happy with it. It doesn't disappoint me. Have favorite characters, like the songs, everything about that. Yeah. So that's in my top 5. So I agree with you there.
This one moves on and off of my list. Okay. So again, depending on the year, it's in my top 5 or it's not in my top 5. So take that for what it's worth. Fred Claus. So Fred Claus
I hate this
is
movie.
with Vince Vaughn and he is Santa Claus's brother.
Yep.
And he has to go deliver the toys. And it's a really
Crappy.
No, it's a refreshing movie because it's not necessarily centered around Santa, which is interesting when you're talking about a Christmas movie. Obviously, I just said Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but it's not a Santa movie. There's a different hero. And I appreciate those. I like those types of storyline where there is a different hero other than the centerpiece of the season. And so with that, Fred Claus makes the list this year. When we do this again next year, assuming that we're going to do this next year, Fred Claus may or may not make the list. But this year, I am all about Fred Claus.
The only reason that should be on there is because Elizabeth Banks gets with her elf fetish.
Yes.
That's the only reason this movie should be on that list. Other than that film is garbage.
Yeah.
I hate that. I went to the theaters to watch that for a date, and it sucks.
Well, this is why it's subjective, Jake.
Yep.
So now my top three, these tend to always make my top five. So we'll go, and again, no particular order. I'm going to go Elf with Will Ferrell. Similarly with Fred Claus, I like the fact that it's centered around somebody that's not Santa. I think the movie's hilarious. I think What's Her Nuts that looks like Katy Perry is super hot in the movie. I can't ever remember her name, by the way. Anyway, the movie's
Zooey
good.
Deschanel.
There we go. Thank you. It has a little person in the movie, which I think is underrated, by the way. I think more movies should have little people in them, just for no other reason than just to, have little people in movies. Like if a movie were to ever be made on my life, you can do one of two things. You can either make me the protagonist a little person, and I'd be totally fine with it, or you can create somebody that in my life that is a little person, and I'd totally be appreciative of that too. So Elf is definitely on the list. It doesn't sound like you are as high on Elf as I am, though.
No, I didn't watch that movie until 2008.
Okay.
I actually rejected watching that film. I was boycotting it for some stupid reason in my brain. And then when I did, I got in trouble at Nordstrom when I worked there because during Christmas season, I would answer the phone, buddy, your elf, what's your favorite color or whatever, until I got asked to go home from work. That was probably multiple reasons why I got asked to go home from work. But no, it's a good film. I don't love it as much as other people. I think it's one of those ones that's so in your face. It's over the top at times where I like the film. Don't get me wrong. I like the film. I'll watch it every year. But I think over the years, it wears off on you. It's not something like, you know what I mean? Over time, it's sort of like, okay.
It just becomes repetitive kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm not trying to bring up a random movie, but like the 40-Year-Old Virgin, I love. I can't watch it all the time though.
Right.
Like some things just to me don't age well. And I think Elf's great and I think it has its own moments, but I just can't watch it all the time. So it wouldn't make my list.
Fair enough. So number 2 on the list, and again, these are not necessarily numbered. And this one is the one that may or may not be a Christmas film. Okay. So take it for what it's worth, but it does have Santa in it. And that's why I appreciate it. Rise of the Guardians.
Love that film.
Yeah. This is the one where Jack Frost is the protagonist. He's the hero of the film. And he has to save all of the mythical or the whatever you want to call them. So Santa, the Easter Bunny, etc. He has to save them for the kids because the Sandman is coming to steal the dreams of the children and kind of taint or color these characters out of the thought process of kids. And I love Rise of the Guardians. By the way, whoever thought to cast Santa's voice in the manner that they did, this like real deep, thick Russian accent, I think it's Russian. Beautiful, perfect casting. I really enjoyed that. You know me, Jake, I'm not like the biggest person on cartoons, but Rise of the Guardians was everything I believe that a holiday movie should be, period. And this one will always be on my top 5.
Well, yeah, because it's also a retelling. Like I love like when they take things that like how they had all the characters, like the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and all that, like, and you retell it in a way that's enjoyable, different, but it's like playing on nostalgia enough or knowledge of characters enough to make it everything relatable, but also new. That I do agree with you. That is a great film.
It's one of those films that no matter what age you watch it, it makes you think of your childhood.
Mhm.
in a positive way.
Yeah, it brings
no
you back
matter.
to certain moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we use the word nostalgic on here a lot, but that's a great reference for that movie. My number one, we've talked about it a number of times. I don't think that you've seen it yet. I'm going to make you see it at least once. A Christmas Story. That is my number one. I will watch A Christmas Story every single Christmas day, at least once. And I say that because sometimes it's twice, sometimes it's 3 times. I just love it. It's a beautiful storyline. I'm probably hyping it up way overboard for you. You're going to watch it, you're going to hate it, and it's going to be my fault. And that's okay, because I at least know that you're going to watch it, because you will watch A Christmas Story and I will watch whatever fatty dragon thing that you decided to tell me about several months ago, and we'll go from there. It'll be a fair trade. But A Christmas Story is by far my favorite Christmas movie, period, as the millennials say, with a T after that word. So it's period T. I don't know how to pronounce that because that's not really like a word, but if it's in writing, it's period T, and we're good to go. So that's my list.
See, I think I know everything about that film. So it's one of those where you don't need to watch it because he shoots himself in the eye. There's Chinese food, a leg lamp. I guess that's where I'm at with it. My daughter loves it. I was surprised. Lila came home and told me she loves this film. So yes, I am going to have to watch this.
It's a great film.
I've seen parts of it. Like I've tuned in when it's on like TBS or TNT or whatever, but I've never actually like sat and watched it all the way through. And I think that's the thing about it. It's like, oh, okay, it's like if it's Charlie Brown Christmas is on the background, it's like, oh, okay, there it is. There's a crappy tree and a bunch of kids and dancing in their Christmas song they play with Snoopy and Woodchuck dancing around. It's a good list. I like it. You're already gonna hate me, like normal when I do lists, because I've already said one, so I'll put Rudolph at the bottom.
Okay.
Agreed to you, but my number 4 is not even a Christmas movie at all. Not even close. But it's a Christmas tradition in my family with me and my brother. And I've talked about this movie before, but it's Black Sheep, and not the one with Chris Farley, the one of the killer sheep from New Zealand that eat people. Because that was the year we had a contest where, we picked out the worst film ever, and my brother picked this. And so every year, he's coming up here too, we watch this film. And it's a Christmas tradition, and it makes no sense. But it makes my list due to that fact that I watch it every Christmas with my brother, or we talk about watching it, or sometimes we'll be on the phone and watch it together and laugh our ass off. And it's a horrible film, but it makes my list due to that redeeming factor. So I know it's not a Christmas movie, but yeah.
Yeah, you completely failed to follow the directions on this list. You said when we were talking about the rundown, hey, let's talk about Christmas movies. We didn't say, hey, what traditions do you have for Christmas? Hey, what movies do you watch as a lead up to Christmas? Hey, what movies do you think about at Christmas? No, we said, hey, let's talk about Christmas movies. Hence why Gremlins was in my honorable mention. Hence why Batman Returns was in my honorable mentions, because they're not like centered around Christmas. And here you bring up this movie called Black Sheep, which doesn't even have Chris Farley in it. And you're sitting here going, oh, this is on my top 5 Christmas movies. And I'm just sitting here going, you're so stupid. Like, how does this even a Christmas movie? Like, there's our two viewers, bro. Not one of them are going to watch Black Sheep. And when they go to Google it, it's going to come up with Chris Farley. And they're going to be like, this is the one that they told me not to watch. And they're never going to find it. It's like your Fatty Dragon thing on the Hi-Ya channel. Like, nobody's ever going to find this shit. Yeah, nobody's ever going to find this shit.
Well, here's the thing. Whenever we do a movie list, I got to pull out something out of my ass that everybody hates.
Draft Day. I'm still pissed off about Draft Day. And Jordan, by all means, if you're listening to this video, I hope that you yelled at your radio and said, fucking Draft Day. Stupid list.
So Black Sheep's number 4. I guess I'll continue on. Number 3 is Home Alone. This used to never be really on my list. And I love the movie. And it's weird because here's how stupid I am. I'll admit this. I never really equated it to a Christmas movie growing up. And I know it's all about Christmas and everything, but I just equated it to a kid like trapping some burglars. I never really thought of like the implications of Christmas on it until I was older, and I found out it's my wife's favorite Christmas movie. I think they've already watched it about 20 times. They watched it a lot. So I'd put Home Alone number 3. Number two.
Before you
Uh-huh.
go to your next one, not that I have an issue with Home Alone being in your top 5, because I don't. I have questions.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions about Home Alone.
Okay.
So is John Candy in Home Alone the same John Candy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
No.
Are they related?
No.
Why aren't they related? I feel like they could be related. I
'Cause
feel like
you're-
John
you're-
Candy has 3 characters that can be related. I think
'Cause
it's
you went
the
down the
character in
path
Home
of, like,
Alone,
no,
the
B-word.
character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Uncle Buck.
It's a fat John Candy in all 3 films, and he's a likable guy. He's typecast, just like Owen Wilson we've talked about on the show. And it's essentially the same director in 2 of those films. Planes, Trains, Automobiles, and Home Alone was directed by the same guy. He loves holiday films. You went down the Mandela effect, conspiracy, those people that do those fan fiction like theories of movies, like the same thing with Mr. McAllister. If he was a mob boss, I knew that's your next one. I know.
That was my second question.
So no, like get off that. It's Home Alone. Who cares? I don't care what his dad did. He has a giant house, whatever.
Would you rather enjoy a conspiracy on that or not? Because, and I'm not saying like after the fact, but like in the movie, do you think it would have made for a better script if it was true? Like if Mr. McAllister was in the mob, or if John Candy's character was related to the other 2 characters?
It does nothing for me. Here's the thing. I used to enjoy these, right? And then the internet went haywire and everybody has an opinion.
And then everybody said that Sinbad was never a genie.
Right, but they took it too far in the sense of like not every universe needs to be connected. We've talked about this, just like the MCU. Right. Not everything needs to have an after credit scene. Not everything needs to have every character that ever existed connect into it. So I am happy them being disconnected. I am happy not knowing if John Candy is related to the other John Candy and another John Candy. And I am happy to know Mr. McAllister. I don't give a shit what Mr. McAllister does. I could care less if he was the ex-president and took over. You know what? You know what he was? I'm going to make up my own. He was the dad, like the brother of when Macaulay Culkin played First Kid or whatever, or what that was with Sinbad, where the president's son, or maybe he was the other bodyguard or the ex-president, or maybe he was Richie Rich's cousin, and they had another twin kid that was separated. That's Macaulay Culkin's other little brother living over here.
It's not as good when you do it with Macaulay.
I don't care. That's my point. It sucks. I don't need everything to be connected. I don't care if he was a mob boss. I don't care if he's part of the Sopranos. It gets to a point where you're taking it too far. It's like when you hear those things, like when people go way too meta, like Batman's not really Batman in the Batman movies. Really? Yeah, he's just crazy. And he's actually in Arkham Asylum. Shut up. Just shut up. Don't ruin Batman. Don't ruin Home Alone. Don't ruin Planes, Trains, and Automobile, B-word. Black Sheep belongs on a Christmas list.
Fighting words. Oh, we're gonna have an issue. Let's get off of that topic before we start really throwing fists. So what's after Home Alone?
So this is one that's probably not going to make a lot of people's list, but I love this movie, and it's The Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, see, that almost made my top 5.
What's her name? Is it not Tia Leone?
It's Tia Leone.
The scene with her in the shower, I don't know. That's that hot mom attraction thing I got.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the movie. I think it's a great family film. I think it has a great message.
It's the endings, one of my favorites for sure.
Okay, but I just really like the film. Yeah, it's okay. You like realistic endings, right? You almost like negative endings in a sense where it has a bad ending. I think that one's a perfect bad ending because you've had previous relationships before. You've talked with an ex, you've become, emotional with them after the fact. And no matter what changes, you guys are still going to have your issues. It doesn't matter that he flew to Paris and then flew back to New York, or whatever the circumstance, London, whatever the circumstances was. I think it was a perfect bad ending in the fact that it's going to fail, but for everybody involved, you get the coffee at the end, and then she's going to catch the flight to Paris, and then they're going to be good, and he's going to have the hot chick in the lingerie come back to his apartment, and he's going to drive around, and Don Cheadle is going to steal somebody else's eggnog, and everything's good to go. Yeah, I don't like happenstance, and that was my main thing about where he ends up finding her, doing the thing, and they talk like, oh, let's have kids and have a tire shop. Like that's the only part of the ending. I like every other aspect that you brought up, that it's not the happiest ending, and yeah, it's probably going to revert back to everything it was. I just don't like it when it's like you feel like it's so forcefully written in there to make it happen because Hollywood wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
But then again, like how else do you end the movie? You either make it so happy where it's unrealistic, right? Where he gets to choose that he stays there forever, or he just wakes up and it's a dream and none of it ever happened. You're like, okay, that sucks too. So I get what you're saying, but it's high on my list. I love watching it.
I have a follow-up question for that.
Okay.
And I know that I'm dissecting your list a little bit, so sorry if you feel picked on, Jake, but if you had the opportunity, so let's say that you never met your wife, right?
Okay.
So you have this life that you have now. You have a wonderful wife and some amazing kids, right? I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah.
But you took a different trip, right? And you made a different choice, and you have this opportunity to have that out of body experience or that vision, if you will. I don't remember what they called it in the movie. And you realize that you have everything that you have today. And Don Cheadle stole your eggnog, and he tells you, you have two options. You can go back to the real world, or you can go to this fake world or this world that once happened or whatever.
Right.
I'm not saying that making a choice for your wife and your kids is a bad one, but do you almost think, though, if there is a world like in The Family Man where it was this like fake setup kind of thing, like it's a what if scenario, do you think that would have been fulfilling for Nicolas Cage's character?
Nope.
I don't think so either.
No, I think the story doesn't exist either if it's the other way around. Right? Like if he's, and I'm not trying to make this sound bad with my own family or anybody, but there's that joke, right? Like if he was the family man in the beginning and then had the option to have the Ferrari and the hot chick and the lingerie and no responsibilities, like that's an even sadder movie, right? Because does he go back?
Right.
And the way they write it, they could write it where, he misses everybody and he has, unfulfilling sex and whatever, right? But in reality, the story works one way. It doesn't work both ways.
Okay. Good point.
So
good point. I agree with you. I think that the grass is always greener on the other side because there's more manure that's fertilizing it. And sometimes we don't look at that with, when we're walking barefoot. So, I agree with you. What's your next one?
Gremlins is my number one. Gremlins is my favorite Christmas of all time. I'm a creature feature guy. Gizmo's my tree topper. That's always been a tradition in my family. I argue with my wife that it is a Christmas movie. I mean, the opening credits start out with the song Christmas. Christopher Columbus, I think, wrote a great film. It's fun. The more I watch it, the older I get, the less I feel it's a Christmas movie, which is weird because I'm putting it on here. Like, you know what I mean? I was watching the other night with the kids and I'm like, yeah, it's a Christmas movie, but I also see how it's a stretch for a lot of people. But I love it. It's my go-to. I mean, I love the original artwork too. The original artwork, I think artwork's a missing thing in movies these days. Like we have posters and stuff, but if you look at the original artwork of Gremlins, Stripe is out of a Christmas package and he's writing with lipstick on the tag. And the New Age one is Gizmo walking with a shadow, and the shadow is the gremlin. And so it's night and day difference of the cover art, right? And the poster. And I think that also changes the fact. If you look at the original art, it looks like a Christmas movie, like, but a Christmas horror film that's a parody. You look at the new one, it just looks like a creature feature. It looks like it has nothing to do with Christmas. And I think that also changes things, right? Perspective going into something. Like if, for example, Spider-Man's coming out around Christmas, right? Let's say Spider-Man's wearing a Christmas hat on the poster. That makes it feel more like a Christmas movie, right? He's not. You're going, okay, it's just another Spider-Man film. Mm-hmm. But if they did like holiday lights and stuff, you'd be thinking, oh, it's going to be sort of Christmassy,
right?
Hence to the list, my films are Christmassy, but maybe not Christmassy enough. I don't go with the whole, bedazzle me with deck the halls and glitter and all that crap. But that's my list. I think, like I said, Gremlins is going to be my all-time favorite.
Okay, well, fair enough. I will just because your list isn't total shit. I mean, I'll go ahead and give you that. I'll move one of your honorable mentions up and just pretend like you only had one, and we're going to take off Black Sheep, just because that was a really stupid answer. Just so we're clear. So let me ask you a couple questions here.
Yep.
Let's do some Would You Rather.
Okay.
So would you rather have Christmas cookies or Christmas candy?
Oh, what kind of Christmas candy? Is it all minty?
You can do whatever you want with Christmas candy. It can be,
Cookies.
Strawberry flavored candy canes for all I care.
Cookies.
Cookies.
I'd rather have Christmas cookies. There's a more variety of it. You get that tin when you do cookie exchanges and stuff, and I have my favorites. So it's also like when you get that variety from friends or you make them, you have the ones you like. I love Russian tea cakes or the snowballs. Right. I like my favorite cookie of all time is a chocolate chip pecan cookie. So I do cookies over candy any day because Christmas candy to me feels like just minty candy canes and stuff, all the same flavor, all the same color. What about you?
I would go with Christmas cookies as well, but I don't think that any cookie classifies as a Christmas cookie. Like, for instance, those sugar cookies that have like that layer of sugar on top of them. Like I don't remember what they're called, but they're they just dye them different colors for whatever the holiday is.
Yeah,
like those are not
sugar.
those are not holiday cookies.
Okay.
I kind of equate Christmas cookies with chocolate chip cookies, to be honest with you. Like those to me are Christmas cookies, but that was how I was raised, with the whole you leave cookies out for Santa and whatever.
Right.
But I like cookie exchanges. The ones in the tin though, I'm not a huge fan of those. I think I like the shortbread ones, but everything else in there, it just doesn't have a taste that I appreciate, I guess. But I'd still go with you with Christmas cookies.
Okay.
So, I'll do another would you rather here real quick.
Okay.
Would you rather have a day of Christmas movies or a day of Christmas songs?
Movies. I hate Christmas caroling.
Not caroling, just playing Christmas music like in your car or whatever.
Movies. I'd rather relax movies and snack and enjoy the downtime. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I like Christmas music. I think though there's only so many we've talked about Christmas music and stuff and certain albums, but there's only so much I can handle. And I think with a movie, especially because of our list, you have a little more control over it. Okay. So I'd rather have that. What about you?
I think I would go with Christmas movies. I like Christmas songs, but I feel like Christmas songs can be very repetitive.
Right.
Christmas movies, there's a pretty good variety, and even in our list, I don't think that we have to pigeonhole into one type of category or another. So that's why I would go with Christmas movies.
So my would you rather is I went a little naughty and nice.
Yeah, let's do it.
So nice first. If you were to wrap presents, are you going to choose wrapping paper or just the gift bags?
The gift bag, 100%. So I don't have to wrap it.
Yeah, I suck at wrapping.
I am not a good rapper. So I've been fortunate for the last, 10 years, 15 years maybe, to work in an office where there are people who like to wrap presents. So like last year I went out and I bought a whole bunch of different gifts, and then I brought them to work with the full intention to wrap them. And my coworker Jenny goes, "Oh, I love wrapping presents. Can I wrap these?" Yes, you can. And please let go of my arm as you're twisting it because it really hurts. But no, everybody, I've typically worked in an office that somebody loves to wrap presents. So for that reason, that's good. But for me, if like I'm doing a Secret Santa exchange or just something else, you're getting a gift bag, you're getting tissue paper in said gift bag, you might get a card. But then the present is going into said gift bag and you will be handed said gift bag. And if the gift bag has a tag on it, I will not write on it because I fully expect that you're going to reuse it.
Yep. See, I hate wrapping. I used to laugh when I worked at Nordstrom. People pay retailers to wrap their presents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget this one guy I was arguing with one time. He was demanding I wrapped his present. And I just looked at him going, dude, you realize I'm going to do probably a worse job than you are about the same? And I did. And then he complained about the wrapping job I did. And I just looked at him going, you asked for this.
Mm-hmm.
You asked for this. You paid for it. I'm the only one here. I acknowledged I'm not good at it. I hate it. I do a bad job. My wife always laughs because I always have that excess of paper on one side, or I don't cut enough and I do the extra strips. I like to do the thing where I take all the scraps that everybody doesn't use and just wrap presents in that, just tape them all over the place.
That's pretty intuitive, actually.
Yeah, because I'm not being wasteful, and I just do it, and it just looks like a conglomerate mess. So before I ask this next one, put the kids to bed, because I said I was going to get naughty. So would you rather Krampus make you his bitch with whatever sex toy he has and spanks you,
We were good up until here, folks.
Or Santa decks your halls and uses Christmas ornaments and anal beads on you.
Why am I getting shoved in the ass on both sides?
Because that's the would you rather.
Oh, man. Oh, no, I don't like the answer to either one of those.
I know, but you have to pick one.
I suppose I'd probably go with Santa so that way I can be called one of his hoes. And that would be it. But no, because Krampus is violent, dude. Like,
yeah, that's some BDSM stuff, right?
Yeah, nah, I'm good.
He's getting hardcore. He's gonna play black death metal Christmas songs while doing it to you. Like that's just scary. I agree with you. I'd go Santa. Let him deck my halls.
Well, then let me. Man, I kept these all clean, bro.
I know. So I told you I went naughty and nice.
Well, I don't like that. So let me ask you this: for Christmas dinner, would you rather cook or would you rather clean?
I want to clean this year.
Yeah,
I want a night off.
Okay.
And here's the thing: I expect good food when I cook. But I also trust my family enough to make a good meal. I know this year we're doing steaks. We'll do the ham as well, but you know what I mean? But like, I'd rather clean. I'd rather relax and just have somebody cook and just eat a good meal and clean. I don't mind doing dishes. I'm one of those. I don't actually mind doing that. I don't really use a dishwasher. I like to hand wash dishes. One of our listeners, Nikki Hollis, will admit to that. She had to teach me in college how to use a dishwasher because I was that guy that put dishwashing soap in there. Had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I'd rather clean. What about you?
I would much rather clean, 100%. And not because I don't think that I can cook very well. I can. I just think that the cleaning up part is a lot more refreshing because you get to see a finished outcome. You know, like it's all spick and span by the time you're done. Whereas when you're done cooking, you're looking at everything that needs to be cleaned. And I just think it's two different perspectives. So last, would you rather for me? Would you rather have a dildo in the butt or would you rather have a dildo in the butt? And you have to pick one.
I'll take the double dildo in the butt, I guess.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's the stupidest.
Because that was my choice that you gave me. Would I rather have anal beads in the ass or a sex toy in the ass? And it was by two different mythical creatures.
They're two totally different sex experiences with two totally different creatures. Yours is just dildo or dildo. Like all right? Are they different dildos? Is one like a
one buzzes, the other one's got knuckles.
Ooh, I'm going with Sonic, the fast one, not Knuckles, where it's got ribbed edges. Oh, that was you give me crap. That was dumb. I did not like that.
That was dumb. That was a retaliation for your dumb question earlier.
Okay. Would you rather only get stocking stuffers as a present, or everything that you unwrap you have to donate?
That's good. I would probably go with everything that I unwrap I'd have to donate. And the reason why is because I would hope that they would be really good gifts. And if I'm donating them, this sounds kind of corny, but at least I know that they're being donated to a good cause, and it would at least make me feel better. If all I got was the stocking stuffers, there's a good chance that it's just a toothbrush and it's just some little things, and most of those stocking stuffers, I can kind of get some of those myself. Like nobody really needs to do those. So that's my answer.
Naughty question. Would you rather have to show up as a slutty Mrs. Claus to a family event, G-string everything, like see-through stuff?
You're assuming I don't do that now.
Right. Or have to sit naked at your work Christmas party?
I'd go as a slutty Mrs. Claus.
To your family event?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Do you feel like there's less questions asked, or just because you at least have clothing on?
I think there's equal amounts of questions asked. I just think that there's two entirely different reactions.
Unlike like if I'm two naked, different dildos?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like if I'm naked at my Christmas party, people are just like, why are you naked and why are you here? Right. Okay. Whereas if I show up as a slutty Mrs. Claus to a Christmas, style family dinner, I think that it would garner more laughs and more storytelling than anything else. I kind of equate it to that time for Halloween. I dressed up as Barf from Spaceballs. Like there's a lot of stories that I have off of that, and it was more of a talking piece than it was just the outfit.
That's a good call. That's a good answer. I agree with you. I mean, I have no problem being naked, and I think if you went to the naked, but I think it's like also like it's almost like, oh, at least you're dressed up as Christmas. Like if you're naked, they're just going to go like, what happened to you? Are you drunk? Why are you here? And I mean, when you go, well, I brought a gift bag, they're not going to care because you also have your own gift bag hanging.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
So one last question for you, my man, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay.
What do you do for New Year's?
Kiss my wife and go to bed early. These days, I don't stay. I do the East Coast, especially with little kids. I don't know. I was never really the only thing we ever did in Vegas, and tell me if I'm wrong, we watched a building blow up. Like New Year's to me is overrated. If they're not blowing up a building, I don't really care. Not enough fireworks shows. I don't need to stay up late. I don't need to drink. I don't need to do any of that. So I honestly just do the traditional kiss my wife, celebrate New York New Year's, and go to bed. What about you?
Do you do resolutions or anything like that?
No, I don't believe in those. I feel like they're unequated for if you're going to try to make something start on a weird timeline, it better be a Monday rather than the first of the year.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll eat better on Monday. I'll get through the weekend rather than, I'll try on the first of the year and by the 8th I'm done.
Right.
Smaller goals are easier to attain than bigger goals, in my opinion, too.
Right. Okay. No, same thing for New Year's. I don't make any wishes. I do try to reflect on the year though. And I think that's just for me. I tend to journal things a little bit more toward the end of the year. Like maybe this is what I set out to do, or just small goals that maybe I thought I could achieve that I didn't achieve, and like kind of reflect on those a little bit. But I try not to just like choose, oh, well, the first of the year is the time that I'm going to make a change, because you're going to fail. So I think, if you're going to make changes, start making little changes now and then work toward the big changes. But same thing, I will not go out like on New Year's. It's got to be something special for me to go out on New Year's. I will go to somebody's house, like if they're doing like a little house party or something, I'll do that. It's typically potluck style, you hang out, you do whatever. But I don't want to be out at a bar. I don't want to be out on the town. I don't want to. I'm over that part of my life, and so that's where it's at.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on all that.
Yeah. Well, man, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yes, sir. And with that, what do you got for me?
Nothing, but thanks for all the dirty talk, and come back and get sanitized.